I bought one of those fancy pairs of talking scales to weigh myself. When I got on last night, it said, one at a time.
Hello and welcome to the show, Colourful Conversations with Mark and Pete. This week we ask the question, are we at risk of type 2 diabetes? Well, people with the very highest risk of developing type 2 diabetes are being prioritised, ironically, by the NHS, basically to change their lifestyle programmes. Well, extraordinarily, updated guidance from the National Institute of Health and Care Excellence, that's nice for some, said that this would cover 1.7 million people in England alone. That's a lot of people. But what is it that's actually causing people to have this condition? Well, we're going to debate that in a lot more detail. With me today is a man who has just got off the scales, clergyman Pete. So can you tell me what is exactly happening to the nation and in this heavy burden on society?
Yeah. Well, if type 2 diabetes is up, what that means is that there are many people who wouldn't necessarily have diabetes, but they have it usually because of their diet. The body doesn't produce enough insulin because their blood sugars have gone way out of the normal range. The body has not been able to cope, and that you can put down to poor diet. But why the poor diet? Well, that's what we're going to be looking into in this episode. But the basic premise that we're putting forward is we in Britain have a poor diet, and it's resulting in epidemic levels of type 2 diabetes, and that is meaning that we're looking in the future for people suffering from an array of really quite shocking symptoms. You're going to be feeling very thirsty. This is if you have type 2 diabetes, you're going to be urinating more than usual. So it's going to give you disturbed nights. In fact, it especially happens at night. If you have diabetes, you're going to start to feel very tired. You're going to experience weight loss and loss of muscle. You're going to have itching in, let's just say, personal areas, and your cuts or wounds will heal slowly, and you may even get blurred vision. So all those are symptoms associated with diabetes, including type 2 diabetes. Let me tell you, you don't want to experience those, but many people, more people and more people will be because of poor diet. Why? We've got to ask in this episode, why is it that we're eating so badly? Do we hate ourselves? Why are we doing this to ourselves?
Well, indeed, but it's not just about diet. I mean, many experts say it's also as a result of a lack of exercise. Although you need obviously a good balanced diet, there's no question about that. But the fact that a lot of people, unfortunately, are becoming couch potatoes, as you sort of indicated a little bit earlier.
Yes.
Now, and I do seem to have a bit of a concern over this, is that what is it that's keeping us on our backsides and not getting us out there? And I sort of think of, people who are perhaps glued to the television, but of course now more glued to social media, just sitting there playing away on their smartphones and their portable devices.
Now you see, Mark, what they want to do is simply get their iPod or phone or Android phone, whatever, and listen to stimulating podcast from Mark and Pete and get exercise.
Whilst running along or even running away from it. I mean, either way.
Your point is that people aren't doing enough exercise, and that their lifestyle, and it's certainly the form of entertainment they choose, is not helping them.
No. Well, it's also not helping a few other things as well. And you might find that this is a strange observation, but I travel on public transport quite a lot. And one thing that I've noticed is that, strangely enough, that when the carriages were originally designed, that most people do not now fit the size of the seat. Now, I know that some people, anybody who travels along, say, for example, on a bus or maybe a railway carriage, I think probably will relate to this. That unfortunately, two people side by side now, they do tend to sort of spill over on one another,
Yeah.
and they're not
Yes.
charged, strangely enough, for for an extra half a seat, but it is a bit of a social problem.
Yeah.
But of course, it also comes in other areas as well, because I have noticed that generally our overall sizing, shall we say, the way that we look at shoes, trousers, skirts, etc., generally are just getting a lot bigger. I also have a worry on other fronts as well, and
Yeah.
I'll see what I mean here. And particularly, I'm going to criticise here Great Britain, probably with a thought here called Greater Britain. Are you sitting comfortably? Tell me, chair, how do you bear British bodies that you entertain? With swelling bellies, just watching tellers, how do you take the strain? Upon your seat, you often meet the great slovenly and the sloth. Through cheeks so cheery, your back is weary, with girths, with lots of growth. As time goes by, you bend and ply, and your prospects are far behind. With buttocks shifting, huge frameworks lifting, you see the worst of mankind. Despite open arms, you've lost all charms. Oh, how life can be so cruel. When one fatal day a leg gave way, and now you're just a stool. Yes, it's so unfortunate, even for our
Yes.
furniture. Cannot take the,
Yes.
the problem that this country is suffering from. Not
Yes.
that I would have to say that I've had to change any of my furniture, of course,
Of
because I
course
just,
not.
just
No.
sit on the floor now.
Yeah, no. Here's the thing. Look, I think we've isolated here two contributing factors, two main ones anyway. One is the sedentary lifestyle, so we can look at the whole
Yes.
area of lifestyle and what contributes to that, and then we can also look at diet. What is it that people are eating that's making them overweight, as you allude to?
Processed
That's true.
foods, I would say, that
Yep.
really are an
Yep.
issue. I think that's one issue.
Processed foods, a lot of processed foods have more sugar and salt additives, which are not good for things like producing insulin. They can have an unbalancing effect. Just being vague because they have all lots of different effects, but quite often you can take something that's got additives in. All that means it doesn't have as many calories, but in fact it upsets the delicate balance of your physiology, and you end up, in this case, with type 2 diabetes. Now, yes, I would process foods, fast foods. A lot of fast foods have this sugary, high carbohydrate sources. Now, and I would say, so first of all, diet. Yes, diet is bad, and it's been bad for a long time for many people. And I think that there is blame to be out here from people who claim to be experts, from government scientists, from the medical profession, time
Yeah.
after time claiming wrongly that a carbohydrate based diet is good for you. Now you can have
Well, do explain.
let me just say, you can have a healthy low carbohydrate diet, but it means you can't eat very much. Sorry, a healthy
Yeah.
high carbohydrate diet. Low carbohydrate would be better if most of the calories that you're going to take in come from carbohydrate. You end up not being able to eat very much because two things. One is it'll make you fat if you have anything over what you're burning off. You're going to get fat, and also they convert into glucose in the sugar. Thus, they're part of the contributing factor to type
Mm.
2 diabetes. If you base your diet on fat and protein with some carbohydrates, so balanced, but actually balanced the other way. If you just look at it, a way to cope with this is the Mark and Pete advice. If you look at
Yeah.
the usual NHS, National Health Service, or other general advice on carbohydrate based diets to be healthy, just switch it around and have approximately the amount with the carbohydrate, replace it with fat, and vice versa. You'll get what's really healthy. And we can trace this back historically. When people started getting fat, when type 2 diabetes went up, that's when people started really strongly advising the low-fat, high-carbohydrate diet.
Yes.
But it was always the case for a long time, I just wanted to point out that how stupid scientists would be. I say this as an ex-science teacher, but we can be very stupid as sciencey types. Back in the day, the reason that it's in people's minds that that we believe that you must it must replace fat is there was a belief back in the 19th century, but scientists knew this in the 19th century, that the way you got energy from food was from burning carbohydrates and fat together in the lungs. Yes, this was what was believed at the time. Now we know now that that doesn't happen. That the calories that you say are in the food aren't really what's there. That's what you would get if you burnt it. What you take in is not the calories that are put on your packets and that sort of thing. The best thing to do is eat proper food, properly cooked from scratch if possible, and then have a balanced diet, but balance it correctly. It's sort of the standard sort of eating that we've been doing for thousands of years. Eat plenty of meat with the fat on it, and have some vegetables and fruit with it. Ta-da! That's what you need to do. That's the diet side of it. I haven't addressed at all the lack of exercise and the lifestyle. That's another story.
Yes. Well, I also believe that fish is meant to be a good, dietary.
Still the diet. Yes, yes.
The omega-3s that come in there, and of course, again, it is all about balance. But let me just come in from a commercial point of view, because I know a lot of manufacturers, particularly of the processed foods, will say, "Well, look, it's all about choice.
Yes.
It's all about efficiencies and about cost efficiencies. Not everyone can afford to perhaps have cooked foods every day." And one of the things that really is causing people, not that it's an excuse, but of course, people get time. People will often say, if your research says, that often people will default to standalone processed foods, off-the-shelf foods, because it's easy.
Yes.
You stick it in the microwave, or you just open up the pack and off you go. And that's one of the reasons why people typically get into those habits.
That's a very good point.
We have got to sort of look at it from a lifestyle perspective as well.
Yes, I mean, that's a very good point. That if, for example, you say, well, I don't want to eat too many carbohydrates because I'm getting fat, I don't want to be at risk of type 2 diabetes. One good way of doing that is to have a cooked breakfast. But that means it's not really a question of the cost as in the money.
What do you typically have
it's
for
the time.
breakfast?
Well, I would, on a normal morning, have an omelette or maybe have bacon, bacon and egg, and then have with it, say, some tomato or sometimes some grapes or something like that, some fruit, and of course water and some coffee. But
Yes.
a coffee with cream.
Well, interestingly, it's interesting you say about water, because a lot of people actually underestimate the fact that they should be drinking a lot of water and more water, because they get too dehydrated.
Well, I mean,
this is not the only problem, but because it's one of the problems.
Yeah. Well, sticking with diet for a minute, there was
part of it.
Sticking with diet for a minute, there was a trend a few years ago for putting more fibre in your diet, and as you know, this has caused problems with people's bowels, irritable bowels. But the way to get the throughput for your body without putting too much fibre in is drink more water. Drink more.
Yes,
keep
exactly.
Drinking water throughout the day. Yeah, but let's turn now. Can we just turn as we in the latter part of this episode? Can we turn to the lifestyle issue, because I think that's an important part of it. Yes, there's putting aside time to cook food. I think there's learning about how to cook food. Because you were saying where people report that they can't afford to eat a cooked meal, whereas if they were to know how to get they perceive that if they were to know how to get the right ingredients, they could get it actually for a lower cost than such foods as going to McDonald's. That seems cheap, but actually that's a lot more expensive than a fully cooked meal that you could do at home. In fact, you could probably feed a whole family at home, compared with compared with what you pay for one person at McDonald's. That's happened in my household on a few occasions where we looked at how much it cost. Oh, actually, you could probably just get one McDonald's for that.
Yes.
Now, I'm picking out McDonald's. Other rubbishy fast food restaurants are available. I mean, I don't want to, be disparaging at all, but there's plenty of terrible, sickening, yucky, unhealthy food available from other
Can I
people,
just point out,
as well
listeners,
as
that a
McDonald's.
lot of these
It's not
fast
only
food retail
McDonald's.
stores are trying extensive research to improve their products
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Well, you see,
and
can
do
we?
offer occasionally a lettuce leaf.
Yes. Now, so lifestyle. Yes, it's a question of putting in effort. That is true. But there's the other side of it, and that is the lack of exercise. Because as I was
Yes.
saying earlier, if you eat carbohydrates but you burn them off, then the issue doesn't arise. Now, the problem
Yeah.
with that is it
You
takes a
should you
lot
should
of
at
it.
least do apparently at least half an hour, ideally,
Yeah,
after a half an hour of form of exercise, possibly
yeah,
sport, or at least something like, I think most people would advise that you do something like 20 minutes of
yeah,
brisk walk a day.
yes.
That,
So
that would help you.
yeah, so what is the way around this? Well, I think that sadly, it means rearranging our lives such that we have to walk places. I mean, I'm just being realistic. Most people are not going to do that. They might join the gym. That doesn't mean they're going to actually go. One of
Yes.
the things that would really help if people just had to walk to where they needed to go before
Yeah.
it's too late and your feet stop working because you've got diabetes. I mean,
Well, I don't think it happened. I remember when I was at school, it seems like 100 years ago, that I actually just
it's about
walked
that.
everywhere.
Yes.
In fact, I used to have to walk, now get this, listeners, I used to have to walk a round trip of 6 miles.
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 miles there, 3 miles
Yes.
back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought that was perfectly normal. Now, I don't know how many
It
people
is.
do that today, but it
Well,
seems
it
like
should
most
be. Let's put it.
parents take
Yeah.
their children to the
Now,
doorstep in the car.
could the government is it the role of government to stop this going? Well, I don't think that that's true. I think that if it were to be a societal shift, in other words, to put it in other words, if it became trendy to walk everywhere, then
Yeah,
that is what would change things. Sales of walking boots would go up. But some sort. If someone is feels that they're doing the in thing to do it, it's a psychological thing. You wouldn't think in those terms, but if there's a social pressure to do it in that way, you're going to ditch the car and you think, oh, I'm saving money as well. But if you could walk, of course, you could walk 6 miles. If your work is 3 miles away, what are you doing driving there? Stop it. And now you're
yeah,
not going to do it because everyone drives there. Well, what if there were to be a trend to stop doing that? What if it became fashionable? What if, this is what I'm going to say, Mark, I'm going to say to you, what if, we don't have webcams here in the Mark and Pete studio, but what if people could see us sitting here in
ah,
our splendour as fit,
yes,
healthy examples of
that's right.
people who don't eat too many carbohydrates? I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, gentle listener. When we like to speak as though this is a problem that we have as well, but it isn't. And the reason it isn't
Mm,
is we do enough exercise and we don't eat too many carbs. I mean,
yeah.
Mark doesn't even eat dolly mixture, which is, of course, absolutely delicious, isn't it? I mean,
This is true, and I know, and
I say that because he used
no,
to eat it. That's what.
and I don't have any dollies either.
Yeah, a dolly mixture, a small pieces of candy for our American listeners. That's what
True, true, true. Yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah,
One time I would have consumed
yeah,
many, but
yeah.
that
But
is
ditching that sort of stuff,
the
I
bygone
used to
days. Yeah,
eat huge bowls of cereal until quite recently, and stopped doing it, and
ah,
it makes a huge
mm,
difference to the waistline. And now,
it does.
just finally, I just wanted to say one thing. Well, what should you look for? To see, oh, am I going to be at risk of diabetes and other things that come from these unhealthy lifestyles? Getting too fat, such that you would have a heart disease or strokes from the pressure on the blood system. Well, there's a very simple test which I'm going to reveal to you now. People do all these calculations with their weight and their height, and they get their BMI. No, there's a lot of research done in this. It's very simple. don't have a waist of greater than 40 inches or you're in trouble. Whatever your height, don't have a waist of greater than 40 inches. But what you should have, it's a very simple test to do. Measure around your waist, which is about an inch above the belly button, round. And if your waist is less than half your height, so waist in inches, less than half your height in inches, or however you measure them. Weight less than half your height, you're healthy. If it's half or above, you want to seriously consider ditching McDonald's, cooking for yourself, and walking to work. That's the Mark and Pete
listeners.
The Mark and Pete lessons.
From a man who knows. Expanded his horizons.
I'm expecting all the comments now. So thank you, those listening.
Well, look, listeners. I mean, NICE, as we mentioned before, has actually revealed many statistics, and we'll conclude on this thought that actually, ironically, in England alone, currently 5 million people are at high risk of developing type 2 diabetes. That's not a lot of people, but this is the more worrying statistic. Listeners, think about this. It says that 1 in 10 will develop the condition by 2034, which isn't really that far away. And that can lead to, as we've already highlighted, the potential of kidney failure, heart attack, stroke, and sight loss, and many other issues. So maybe now is the time to rethink the strategy in terms of your diet and your health regime. So why not let us know your thoughts? Are you already doing something about it? Are you actually starting to get into a more active mode with your family? Or maybe you're just doing it for yourself? Why not drop us a line on www.markandpete.com and let us know your thoughts? Well, thank you for listening, and join us again next time for more colourful conversations with Mark and Pete.